Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling. And man, I appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to spend some of your day with me. Always happy to have you guys around here. And guys, today I want to talk about and give you my opinion on the Bass Talk Live podcast interview with Bassmaster CEO Chase Anderson that came out today. This really opened my eyes to a lot of different stuff. This is a really, really good interview. I'll put the link to it in the description of this video if you guys want to see it. Matt there with Bass Talk Live always does a great job with interviews. He's one of the best in the business with that. I think you guys will really enjoy this. But I want to give you guys my opinion on this. This was an hour-long interview with the owner of Bassmaster. You guys know I've been critical of Bassmaster over the past year or two. And I got some comments given the fact some of the things they were talking about here, some of the things Chase Anderson was saying, that I'm going to give you guys my opinion. And definitely after you guys see the interview, I'd like to hear you guys' feedback on that as well. Also, guys, real quick before we get started, just a quick reminder that we do have my fall Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns up right now. These are maps that I built for the Fish the Moment website. Taken me like 5 years to build these maps. These are great resources, guys, to get some good fishing places on your favorite lake. Learn more about your favorite lake or a lake you've never been to before. I'll have the link in the description there. And also, guys, thank you very much for everybody that's taken time to hit the subscribe button here at Intuitive Angling. I really appreciate that. Okay, guys, this is, I listened to this whole interview today. I normally don't have time to listen to an hour-long podcast, but I really wanted to hear this. I'm really curious to hear what Chase Anderson said. And one of the things about this is Chase Anderson's got a tough job. I'll say that right off the bat. The decisions that he makes as the CEO of Bassmaster, you can't please everybody. And that's one of the realities of life. You can't be all things to all people. You can't make everybody happy. So I get that. He's got a tough job. And one of the first things that I noticed about this is I really came away with this interview with a different perspective on Chase Anderson. I don't know him very well. I just, I know about him in the industry and what people have told me about him. But he seems like he really has a sincere, legitimate interest in this sport and with Bassmaster and the future Bassmaster. So I really appreciated that sincerity that he came through with this, because I can pick up on BS pretty quick, guys. And this guy seemed like he was legitimately, concerned and loved the sport. So I really, really appreciated that. Okay, now given that, I want to talk a little bit about, the elephant in the room here, which most of the interview centered around, and that was the direction Bassmaster's headed in and the whole issue of forward-facing sonar. That was a lot of the topic in this conversation. And before I get into this, guys, I just want you to know that even though I have been extremely critical of Bassmaster for the last couple of years on the decisions they've made, I love Bassmaster and want to see it succeed. You guys have heard me talk about it. I was really good friends with Ray Scott. I was very good friends with Jerry McInnes, the last owner of Bassmaster. Jerry came to my wedding reception. Jerry and I went on vacations together. I spent New Year's Eve at his house, overnight for many years. I was very close friends with Jerry McInnes. And I was privy to a lot of the inside workings of Bassmaster, being close to Ray Scott and Jerry McInnes. So I'm not some dude that's just like screaming at the clouds, bitching and moaning about something I don't know anything about, because I've been on the inside of Bassmaster for many, many years, fishing the Bassmaster top 150s, the top 100s, the Bassmaster Elite 50s, classics, everything. I've been there, done that. So I just want to clarify that. Here is one of the things that disturbed me about the interview that I want to get across. Of course, the whole thing about forward-facing sonar came up. And one of the primary driver and the primary stance and opinion of Chase Anderson on this is he related the entire forward-facing sonar topic to viewership and what the viewers wanted to see and what the constituents wanted to watch on TV. That was the primary, position that they had regarding their determination on the rule changes with forward-facing sonar. This is what disappointed me, guys, because he completely missed the point on it. You guys know very well, are very aware of my position on forward-facing sonar. I've been leading the charge against this forever. I've got 100 videos on anti-forward-facing sonar, And the thing that Chase Anderson missed on this that I really wished he would got across was, I don't care about the viewership. I know that he has a business to run. I don't care about, the numbers he's getting on certain tournaments that have forward-facing sonar or doesn't. That is completely ignoring the reality of the situation and gaslighting the whole topic of forward-facing sonar. And let me get into this. First of all, he said a couple things that really disturbed me. Number one, he said Bassmaster loves technology, and Bassmaster is going to continue working with technology, and they think technology is good. This is the fundamental flaw in his argument right here, because bass fishing, when you talk about the inherent value and the foundational preciousness of Bassmaster, it is about the mystery and the magic of the sport and the wonderment and the unknown. That is what makes bass fishing powerful. There wasn't a single mention of that by Chase Anderson regarding this forward-facing sonar. It was all about viewership and membership, which was highly disappointing. On top of that, when you talk about, this baseline of what I always talk about, it's like for the entire history of Bassmaster prior to the use of the cheater box, and guys, call it what it is, call it the cheater box, stop calling it forward-facing sonar because it is the cheater box. But the entire premise prior to that was the fact that bass fishing and fishing in general was all about fishing to find fish. That's what it was. That was the definition of what fishing is you went out there and you fished to locate the fish based upon your knowledge of seasonal movements of the fish, mood and personality of the fish, seasonal patterns. This was a lifelong process to get to the point where you can understand and be successful as a tournament angler. And then it also goes into the whole income disparity that, some anglers can afford it, some anglers can't. The whole thing about fair chase, that's why I call it the cheater box, because in hunting, they don't allow this type of technology, and they say that it's illegal because it is not fair chase. And when you talk about having a piece of electronic technology that can scan out 100 feet in front of you and show you a fish in live imaging in live real time, and you can cast to that fish and you can see that fish react to your lures, and you can follow that fish for a quarter mile down the bank if you want to, casting at it constantly, staring at a screen, that is not fair chase. There's nobody that can argue that point. Forward-facing sonar is not fair chase. And then we get into the whole thing about technology in general, where does it end? It's like right now we have the cheater box that is making incremental improvements every single year. What do these incremental improvements look like 5 or 10 years down the road? In Bassmaster, Chase was saying, well, they continue to monitor the situation. Nevertheless, they continue to monitor it and to continue to allow it in tournaments. Now, he made a couple different points. He was saying that basically money didn't influence any of these decisions. I'm not going to call him a liar. I'm not going to dispute his claim. From my own opinion of this, I don't buy it. I don't buy the fact that the sponsorships that Bassmaster is getting from the electronic companies, then the money that they're getting from the electronic companies don't influence that decision to some extent. I don't think anybody could argue that. If you have a big sponsorship from a company that has a vested interest in pushing technology like forward-facing sonar forward, it is going to have an impact. I don't know that. I'm not calling him a liar. I'm not saying anything. I'm just giving you my speculation and my opinion on that. So the point of what we're talking about here is Chase was trying to tie the fact in that technology is part of fishing, and it's always going to be. This is where I disagree with that, because the further you get away from the purity of fishing, where it is fishing to find fish, and the mystery and the magic and the wonderment and the unknown, that is when you get away from everything that like Ray Scott stood for, everything that most people hold precious in bass fishing, and it becomes a exercise. It becomes a commercial venture in catching. In just catching. Bass fishing is relegated through the use of electronic technology into a commercial venture. It's not a recreational sporting, activity that we've also known in the past. And you can't deny the radical change that we have seen in the sport over the past 2 years. The sport is basically unrecognizable in 2025 versus what it was, say, in 1995. And they make it sound like technology is inevitable and there's nothing you can do to stop it. That's bullshit. Bassmaster has the power, MLF has the power to put the brakes on technology by just saying, okay guys, this is what we're gonna do. We are setting a baseline. We are gonna allow, you're allowed to have a GPS unit, you're allowed to have two-dimensional sonar, you're allowed to have one unit on your console, one unit up front. That is our baseline. There's nothing that's gonna go beyond that because you guys are supposed to be pros. You guys are supposed to be better than anyone else. You guys shouldn't have to have an umbilical cord to success up through electronic technology. I want to see you guys roll into an area with no electronic technology and figure out how to catch those fish. Figure out how those fish are positioned on that dock or that lay down tree or that point. Use your ingenuity and your creativity to figure out those fish by fishing to find those fish. And that is why this whole transition into the Elite Series turning into a bunch of college age anglers versus in the past it's been the 40-something anglers that took that long to hone their skills enough to compete at the top level. This is why I talk about the sport being irrecognizable, you know, from what it was. And it disappointed me to see Chase Anderson just skirting that reality and just always bringing it back to ratings and, you know, our ratings for this tournament or that tournament with forward-facing sonar, blah, blah, blah. That's not the point, man. You guys, you're completely missing the issue here. So anyway, guys, that's just a few of my viewpoints on the interview here. Like I said, I'll link it in the description. You guys can watch it for yourself and see what you think about it. But I do appreciate him going on Bass Talk Live. I mean, he didn't have to do that. I think that, you know, the more transparent and authentic people like Chase Anderson are, that a lot of people would try to form an opinion of people like that may not be true. So I think it's a good thing that he went on there and sort of, you know, talked to everybody about it. But nevertheless, you know, personally, I'm disappointed in the direction he tried to steer this entire cheater box argument into, because it's not what it's about. And we've talked about it extensively here on the channel, and I'll continue to talk about it. And one of the things that I know about this guy is that they didn't talk about is, ever since I've been talking about this for the past 3 years, I can assure you, and I guarantee if I could look into Bassmaster's books, they have bled and they have lost thousands and thousands and thousands of members through not renewing their membership or canceling their membership by their position on forward-facing sonar. That never would have happened before. If forward-facing sonar would have been made illegal 5 years ago like it should have been, those members would still be there. But now Bassmaster has alienated those people, and that is why we have this division and strife, because people are pissed off. People are pissed off to see what bass fishing is becoming versus what bass fishing is meant to be. That's the bottom line with it. And you can put lipstick on a pig, you can sugarcoat a turd, however you want to do it, but the majority of the bass fishing public in the United States of America is against advancing forward-facing sonar technology and those advancements, because it diminishes the sport. It makes the sport less. And if you don't understand that, then you've probably been, the worldview that you were probably raised in was probably prior to the reality of when fishing was really great. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think about it. Link in the description to the interview. We'll check in later.